A house husband is a man who stays home while his partner goes to work. His responsibilities include everything typically done by traditional housewives, plus general home repairs, car maintenance, and lawn care. Occasionally, the house husband's wife may help with meal preparation and/or child care, but for the most part, he manages these tasks himself. I'm not sure I would have survived this role if it had started when my 3 children were young. We were a family of modest means, so all the kids attended daycare while my wife and I tried to earn enough money to maintain a middle-class lifestyle. As soon as my children entered middle school, my wife enrolled in an MBA program because her employer reimbursed the tuition. This meant I had to take on more responsibilities to keep the household running smoothly while she studied and attended classes both online and on campus. I didn't mind the extra work, as I knew that an MBA degree would help her advance in her career and earn a higher salary. Amy's MBA program was tailored for executives working full-time, so it took nearly 3 years to complete. By then, the kids were already off to college. Fortunately, all 3 were excellent students and qualified for several scholarships. Nonetheless, having 3 kids in college is an enormous financial burden. I worked as the accounting department manager in a small family-owned manufacturing company. They paid me a fair salary, but it was nowhere near what a CPA at a large corporation would make. Amy's hard work finally paid off, and she was promoted to Executive Vice President of Product Development at the multinational insurance company where she had worked for over 15 years. The new position came with a significant salary increase, a car allowance, an expense account, and a share of year-end bonuses along with other corporate employees. Her unexpected success couldn't have come at a better time. The economy experienced a sharp downturn, and my employer was hit especially hard. They struggled for nearly a year before ultimately selling the business to our main competitor. The new owners wasted no time, dismantling our operations and closing the plant. The new owners offered me a job at their plant, but it was 300 miles away. The salary would have been a bit lower than what I was earning, about a third of Amy's salary, not including bonuses. I had no choice but to decline the job offer, and just like that, I found myself unemployed. I tried to find new work and quickly realized that no one in our area was hiring until the economy improved. John, this isn't the end of the world. I'm doing well, and we have enough funds in the college accounts for the kids to finish school, so don't worry so much. I know, but I've worked my whole life, I can't just sit around doing nothing. Oh, don't worry, I have a long list of important tasks that you never had time for, so you won't be sitting idle, she said with a smile, and so it began. I became a house husband at the age of 48. Amy's list was indeed extensive, and it took me most of the year to complete all the home improvement projects she suggested. Just as I finished up with the house, she moved on to some very labor-intensive landscaping projects. While I worked on improving our home, Amy continued to climb the corporate ladder. She was promoted to senior EVP and received a substantial salary increase. She loved her job and was highly respected by other bigwigs. She was often invited to parties and social events where she mingled with the city's most influential people. Naturally, I was expected to accompany her to many of these events. I'm not sure when it first started, but very slowly, I began to notice changes in how Amy treated me at these events. At first, she insisted that I stay by her side as she flitted around, engaging in brief, superficial conversations with all the important people. Gradually, she began asking me to stand by our table or sit at the bar while she worked the room. Before long, I was spending most evenings either entertaining the wives of executives or simply sitting alone. Eventually, it all became unbearable when she took me along for a weekend at a beautiful resort. On the first evening, she left me with the wives and was gone for nearly 3 hours. The next day, she informed me that she had several meetings with other top executives and board members. She mentioned that the wives had planned a spa day. All right, fine, but what am I supposed to do all day? I can't hang out with the women while they're doing mud baths and all that other crap. I don't know, John, go for a hike or something. I have important business to attend to, and I don't have time to entertain you. I held my tongue, knowing she was a bit tense, but I swore to myself that this would be the last time she dragged me along to one of these events. All right, don't worry about me. I'll be fine. In the end, I hung out by the pool and at the small tiki bar next to it. I had just finished my second gin and tonic when I noticed a group of people stepping out onto the elevated terrace of one of the large conference rooms, taking seats under the umbrellas. I recognized Amy, accompanied by a tall gentleman with a refined appearance. He placed his hand on her lower back and pointed to one of the tables at the edge of the terrace. I watched as they sat down, pulling their chairs closer together. He wrapped his arm around her shoulders as she leaned into him. No one else joined them, and I saw her gently kiss him on the cheek a few times. He smiled at her and leaned in to whisper in her ear. She giggled and playfully slapped his hand as he laughed. This continued for about 30 minutes before they stood up and returned inside with everyone else. I replayed in my mind what I had seen. They were certainly much cozier than two married people should be with someone other than their spouse. I noticed they were only slightly concerned about their colleagues witnessing their overly friendly behavior, which made me wonder what might be happening behind the closed doors of the office. Although I had met all her colleagues, I wasn't familiar with the guy she was with. I assumed he was a board member but needed to confirm it. I headed back to our room to grab my laptop and do a bit of digging. It took only a few seconds to find a photo of Steven Svensson, the chairman of Mega's board. Steven was married to Margot Davis Svensson, daughter of William Davis, the former director and founder of Mega. Now, that was interesting. If something is going on, Amy is playing with fire. Old Stevie had married the boss's daughter, and her father was still the corporation's majority shareholder. That evening, Amy sat beside me at dinner. She chatted with a few other EVPs and seemed to be enjoying herself. I talked with Diana, a trophy wife sitting next to me. I was surprised to find her attractive and with a wicked sense of humor. I enjoyed our conversation and couldn't help but steal quick glances at the impressive décolletage she was showing off. After the tables were cleared, the lights dimmed, and the music started playing. Amy took the opportunity to lean in and whisper that she would be dancing with some of her colleagues. These were the first words she had said to me in over an hour. She didn't wait for my response, got up, and headed to the dance floor with some guy. Diana spoke up, "Better get used to it. We spouses usually get ignored at these kinds of things. I can't believe your husband would leave you unattended among all these alpha males." She laughed. "I'm sure he's off dancing with a board member's wife, trying to win as much favor as he can. He just assumes that some minor bigwigs will ask me to dance and that I'll obediently sing their praises to each one of them. Oh, well, perhaps before you begin your assignment, you could do me the honor of a dance. That is, if you're not too embarrassed to be seen with the spouse of an EVP." She smiled. "You're about 20 years younger than my usual dance partners, so I expect you not to drool all over my décolletage. I make no promises, the décolletage is certainly drool-worthy, but I'll do my best to control myself." Diana pressed her magnificent chest against mine as we danced. I managed not to drool. Our dance was cut short when her husband stepped in and then led her away, only to pass her off to his boss. I suppose he wanted her to place her assets where he thought they might benefit him. I sat at the table, watching as Amy danced with several board members before settling exclusively on Steven Svensson. After their fourth or fifth dance, the orchestra took a break, and she and Svensson went over to his table. I considered leaving but decided to observe a little longer. At one point, Amy glanced in my direction and saw me sitting alone. A few moments later, she walked over to the table and sat across from me. "John, you must be terribly bored. Why don't you just go back to the room, and I'll join you later after I freshen up?" "Oh, well, the orchestra is magnificent, and I'd hate to end the evening without at least one dance with my charming wife, if you could fit me into the lineup." "John, this is business, important business. Now, please just do as I ask, and we'll discuss it later." She stood up and walked away. I stared after her. She dismissed me. She actually told me, "Go to your room." As if I were some naughty child. I was furious, but I had no reason to just sit there and be ignored. I waited a bit, then stood up and left. I didn't want to sulk in our room, so I went to the small bar near the resort lobby. It was quiet, and I needed to reassess my situation. It was clear to me that Amy was either involved with or soon would be involved with Svensson. I wasn't going to tolerate this, but for now, I had no proof of any wrongdoing on Amy's part. I sipped my drink for a while and decided to call it a night. I walked back past the event hall and peeked inside. Amy was on the dance floor, pressed close to Svensson. His hand was low on her back, not quite on her rear. I asked one of the staff how long the orchestra would be playing, and he said they would finish at 11 o'clock, with the hall closing at midnight. I must have dozed off a bit while sitting up in bed watching TV. The lights were off, but I distinctly saw the clock read 1:20 when Amy finally pushed open our door. She was carrying her shoes and sweater. She must have expected me to be asleep because she gasped when I turned on the bedside light. Her hair was disheveled, and her lipstick was gone. I looked her up and down, and she flushed deeply. I thought you'd be asleep. I only had 3 drinks all evening. I'm furious, not drunk. Do you want to explain to me where you were? You know where I was, dancing. I told you I needed to dance with my colleagues and make an appearance. It's all part of the game, John, she said, as if speaking to a slow learner. Try again from the beginning. The orchestra left at 11 o'clock, so what exactly were you doing for the past 2.5 hours? Talking with Svensson. Margot is in Europe with her mother, so he's here alone. We went back to his room and discussed his plans for the company and how he thinks I might fit into them. So, you just spent 2 hours talking, I made air quotes, in his room, leaving me on my own. Then you sneak in here with disheveled hair, no lipstick, and your heels in hand. That must have been one seriously exhausting conversation. Think what you want, I need to take a shower and get some sleep. We still have a half day of meetings tomorrow. Oh, I told Stephen I'd go to dinner with him tomorrow evening. We're supposed to check out in the morning, and your meeting ends at noon. What the hell are we supposed to do until dinner? She kicked off her shoes and put her hands on her hips. You are going home. I'm going with Stephen to his lake house for dinner. So, you're leaving at noon to spend the day at his lake house. When do you plan on coming home? I don't know. If it's too late, I'll just come back Monday morning. The hell you will. You're planning to spend the whole day and night having sex with this jerk and then come back to my home. First of all, I never said anything about sleeping with him, and second, it's my damn house, not yours. It belongs to me. I just stared at her, mouth agape. When I completed all the home improvements, Amy refused to use her annual bonus to pay down the construction loan. She insisted we refinance the house. Since I was unemployed, I couldn't qualify for the mortgage, and Amy insisted that I shouldn't be on the deed if I wasn't on the mortgage. This infuriated me, but we had planned to move soon after I finished the renovations. I simply assumed that by then, I would be back at work and could handle the financing on the new home, so I let it slide. She stood there with her hands on her hips and a smirk on her face. I got up from the bed and began to dress. I grabbed my suitcase and threw it on the bed. Yanking open the drawers, I started stuffing my clothes into the suitcase. And now what? Are you going to run away? Where are you planning to go? You have no house, no job, no money, so where the hell do you think you're headed? Go to hell, Amy. I'd rather sleep in my car than let you get away with this crap. I won't be your cuckold. I'm divorcing your cheating ass. You're a stupid, stupid man. You have nothing. Your ass belongs to me. I make all the money. Without me, you'd be out on the street. Now stop acting like a big child. Tomorrow, I need to discuss this with Stephen, and he's supporting me for the position of Chief Operating Officer. It will double my salary and triple my year-end bonus. I'll be able to buy us a really nice home in a prestigious area. I don't need another house. I want a faithful wife who cares about me, about us, and our marriage. Please, Amy, don't do this. You don't have to. You can get this promotion on your own, without sleeping with him. Amy shook her head, looked down at the carpet, and muttered, "It's too late." That's when I realized she had already slept with him. I was already a cuckold. Her plan for tomorrow was more of the same. I looked at her with disgust. You slept with him. You're full of him right now. Oh my God, you killed us. Don't be ridiculous, John. We can have it all. So I slept with him, no big deal. A quick shower, and I'm as good as new. All this will be over by Monday morning, and we'll be set for life. It's just part of the game. I know in a few days, you'll forget all about it. I stuffed the last of my clothes into the suitcase and slammed it shut, grabbed my jacket, and rushed out. I jumped into my car and drove away. My phone beeped and chirped. I knew I was supposed to have a broken heart, but for the most part, I just felt numb. As I drove, the flow of traffic thinned. I engaged the cruise control and leaned back in my seat. I recalled the past 6 months and realized that Amy had started to change soon after her first promotion. She became consumed by ambition and the desire to be recognized as successful. Now she valued power and wealth above all else. She no longer cherished love, loyalty, family, and fidelity. It was all about her now, what she could achieve, the power she wielded, and the money she earned. The realization that she had changed and was no longer the sweet, loving, and caring woman I had married filled me with sadness. I wiped away a few tears, mourning the loss of the woman I had loved for 20 years. On Monday morning, I woke up filled with dread. I called the attorney who had worked with me at my old job. He gave me the name of a family law attorney, and I called the office to say I was seeking a divorce. Mr. Dixon, Ms. Hawk typically represents only those women who are at a significant disadvantage in divorce proceedings, mainly housewives with unfaithful husbands. I'm not sure why your attorney gave you her name. I'm a house husband, my wife is a high-ranking executive and an adulteress. Silence reigned for a moment. Oh my God. This will be a first for her. Can you be here by 11:30? I entered Sally Hawk's office at 11:20. Her secretary broke into a smile as she greeted me. I waited about 20 minutes before an attractive, petite brunette entered the reception area. Mr. Dixon, I'm Sally Hawk. Please, come into my office. I told her my story, and she took notes as I spoke. So, you've been a house husband for about 2 years. I lost my job when my employer sold the company and our division was shut down. My wife just received a big promotion, and I haven't been able to find work in my field. She convinced me to stay home and make improvements to our house. She planned to sell our home as soon as I finished all the renovations and buy a bigger and better one. Wait, so it was her idea for you to be a house husband? Yes, she liked that I cooked, cleaned, did laundry, and took care of the house while she was free to continue her career. Great, so when did you first start suspecting that there was a problem in your marriage? Honestly, I only recently began to suspect that she was cheating, but looking back, I think it might have started almost a year ago. She confessed to her infidelity last weekend, which is why I'm here today. Mr. Dixon, I'm sorry this is happening to you, but I promise you will get through this, and I will ensure that you are treated fairly in the divorce. So, you said your wife admitted to cheating. Do you have any evidence of this? Did you record her confession? No, I didn't record it. From what I observed, I suspect that most of her colleagues know what she's been doing. Alright, although there is no fault divorce in this state, I would like to obtain some evidence of her marital infidelity to use as leverage in the settlement. Would you mind if my investigator looked around a bit? I use Masters Investigations. Jack Masters is an old friend of mine, and his people are very reliable. Of course, I think I need to withdraw some money from the bank before she freezes the account. I assume you have a joint account? Yes, a small checking account at Chase that I use. Most of our money is in a managed portfolio that is jointly owned. She has several accounts in her name only. Alright, when we're done, go to Chase and withdraw everything except for $1. Deposit the cash but don't tell me where. I'll work on freezing the investment account and will demand full disclosure of all her assets. I had just exited the bank when Jack Masters called me. Mr. Dixon, Sally Hawk asked me to call you. Do you have a moment to talk privately? I got into my car and locked the door. Yes, I'm in my car. I parked near the bank. Sally told me most of the details, and my people will start gathering information this afternoon. What are your plans? Do you intend to stay in the house? I can't afford to move out until I cash in some of our investment funds. Alright, you can't make her leave, so I suggest you move to another bedroom and install a secure lock. I can have someone do that if you'd like. Also, I want to install some surveillance equipment in your home as soon as possible. I'm heading home now. I'll stop and pick up a lock set and be home in about 40 minutes. I installed the lock while Master's team set up several tiny cameras in the house. I moved all my clothes into the room farthest from my old room. I was really glad I had separately installed a small bathroom when I remodeled the upstairs. Early that evening, my phone vibrated, alerting me to movement in my driveway. The new camera gave me a clear view of Amy getting out of the limousine, but I couldn't tell if anyone else was in the car. The driver brought the bags inside and then drove away. I was in my new room, watching the split screens on my laptop while Amy walked around the house, calling my name. She entered the master bedroom and looked around. When she opened my empty closet, she exclaimed, "Damn." She peeked into the bathroom and then exited her bedroom. A few moments later, she tugged at my door handle. "John. Are you in there? What do you want?" "John, darling, please open the door. Why are all your things gone from our room?" "Your room? My room is here now." "John, seriously? Why are you moving out of our room? Now stop this nonsense right now and let me in." "No. You're not welcome in my room. Go take a shower and wash off the stench of your lover. I'll meet you in the kitchen when you're presentable." I heard a sigh, and then she stomped away. On my laptop, I watched as she undressed on her way to the master bathroom. I stepped into the hallway and locked my door before heading down to the kitchen. I watched on my phone to see what was happening in the bedroom. I shook my head when I saw her first put on a sexy bra, then take it off to put on a t-shirt over her braless chest. I knew what she was trying to do, but that didn't stop me from watching her impressive breasts bounce as she came down the stairs and approached the table where I was sitting. "Well, everything is nice and clean, like new. So, are you happy now?" "Happy? Are you kidding me? I may never be happy again. You slept with that jerk. You destroyed us. I'm done with you." For a moment, she looked shocked, then she got angry. "Now listen to me, John Dixon. Nothing has changed. Nothing will change. You need to get over your stupid jealous bitterness and stop being so. Yes, I slept with him, big deal. So what? Who cares? I slept with him, and now he has to vote for me when I run for chief. It was business, nothing more. Now go and move your things back to our bedroom." "How many, Amy? How many what? What the hell are you talking about? How many more have you slept with? Were they all for business, or were a few just for fun?" "What? How can you ask me that? Stephen is the only one in the world, and you know why I did it with him. He was fine, but nowhere near as good as you." "Really? I'm a little surprised you can even remember what it was like with me. I mean, let's face it, it's been a long time since I was with you, and it's been an even longer time since we made love. That's not true. Amy stopped and tilted her head to the side. We had sex. I mean, it was just, her voice trailed off. If I remember correctly, you were pretty rough with me the night your last promotion was announced. But that was about 6 months ago. Of course, it's been quite a while. Oh my God, John, I'm so sorry. I just got so caught up in my work. Forgive me, baby, I'll make it up to you, I promise. You promise? You mean like on the day of our wedding when you swore to leave everyone else behind? Is that the promise you're giving me? Well, if that's the case, forget it. I don't need any more false promises. Damn it, John. You need to forget about this. My affair with Stephen is over. It's in the past. I admit I was too focused on gaining his support, but that's finished. Please, come back to our bed and let me make it up to you. Thank you very much for your kind offer of clumsy seconds, but I'll pass. I'm sure you were having sex with him again this morning, and even if I forced you to take a shower, it wouldn't change anything, so once again, no thank you. Wonderful. Be a jerk. You can just stay in your room and please yourself. I don't need you for sex, there are plenty of guys available to me. Maybe I should start sleeping with all the men on the list. Damn it, I could become a director in a couple of weeks. Amy turned and stomped back up the stairs. Sally reviewed the recordings of my conversation with Amy. She told me to be polite and avoid her. Just 3 days later, Jack's guys were able to determine that Amy was likely engaged in something sexual with the head of HR and with Stephen even before she was promoted to SEVP, but there was no evidence. The report confirmed my suspicions that she had started cheating when she received her first major promotion. I wondered if she had cheated to get the senior EVP position and to have a chance at the chief operating officer role. What would she be willing to do for a spot on the board? She was clearly willing to use her body to get everything she wanted, and I just couldn't live with that. I asked Sally to handle her. Jack's guys found Amy's offshore account, and Sally forced the disclosure of all of Amy's salary information. Over the past few years, she had requested some stock options instead of a salary increase. Sally suspected that Amy planned to gradually increase her stake in the company to secure a position on the board. Sally kept her word. I received half of our stock portfolio and some cash from Amy. I will also get half of the house's value when it is sold. So, after settling with Sally, I ended up with about $600,000 in cash and stocks. The house was appraised at $650,000, so Amy will owe me about $300,000 when it sells. I won't be rich, but I won't be starving either. Sally must have thought I was a decent guy because she introduced me to a recently divorced woman, Carol Hillman, who received a small manufacturing company from her cheating husband when he ran off with his accountant. Sally helped Carol realize that she didn't need her husband, but she desperately needed a good accountant, and she hired me after the very first interview. I worked for Carol for 3 months when she asked me to analyze her finances. I helped her sort everything out and even submitted a corrected tax return that got her a $3,000 refund. She invited me to dinner as a thank you, and I gladly accepted. After dinner and 2 bottles of wine, Carol told me that she felt lonely and needed male companionship. At 55, she was still an attractive woman, and I wasn't receiving any other offers, so we became friends with benefits. It wasn't hard to keep our special relationship a secret from the other employees. To be honest, I think I'm falling for Carol. I believe she has fallen for me too, so soon I'll have to talk to her about it. About a month after my divorce was finalized, Amy was nominated for the position of Chief Executive Officer, and Stephen delivered a lengthy speech to the board of directors about how wonderful she was. Shortly before the vote to approve her promotion, an anonymous email arrived on the phones of all board members. It contained a recording of Amy admitting that she had slept with Stephen for his support. The board voted to reject Stephen's recommendation and reinstate William Davis as the director. William's first action in his new/old position was to fire Stephen, his future former son-in-law. The second thing William did was appoint his daughter as the CEO. As the CEO, Margot Davis called Amy Dixon into her office and told her that her services were no longer needed at Mega. I felt very sorry to hear about Amy's failed career, and I sympathized with her as I passed by her stall at the market. Other shoppers were just as shocked as I was when Amy burst into tears and began throwing produce at me. The manager fired her on the spot. It seems she really has a hard time keeping a job.